At the end of each unit, we're going to make a concept map to review and connect all the information that we learned about in that section. For this one, this first foundations unit is kind of a jumble of things. It's a hodgepodge, so it's not going to work as nicely as future concept maps will. And also, eventually, you're going to be building these on your own. I'm going to help you less and less as we go on. A concept map is basically like a spider chart. I'll kind of show you, this is one that I have done already, and we're going to be making something like that just to show what's been going on in this unit. So I'm going to start in the center and just call this Foundations of Biology. Something to note is that concept maps can be done in many different ways. Everybody thinks a little bit differently, and so you might have a different idea than I do, especially when we get to future concept maps and you're doing them on your own. No two concept maps need to be alike. So some things that we talked about in this unit, we said, in order to be alive, I'm just going to put dot, dot, dot. So foundations, in order to be considered alive, something has to have DNA. It has to grow and develop. These are all those characteristics of life that we looked at. Respond to stimuli. Something needs to be able to reproduce. Needs to be able to maintain homeostasis. Remember, that's that constant state of internal balance, like if you're cold, you're going to shake to warm up. As a group, all things evolve. All things need to have cells, one or more. A cell is the smallest thing that is considered alive. And all things need to obtain, and use energy. Okay, that was one foundation of this unit. Something else that we talked about levels of organization. And I'm going to circle that one. And you can see for a concept map, I'm kind of using different shapes here so you can easily see the hierarchy of my ideas. This is my main title, and then I'm circling my subtitles, and then the points that support the subtitles, I'm not doing anything to them. I'm leaving them the way they are. Now, levels of organization. I'm not going to list all of them out, but I'm just going to say smallest is a subatomic particle. And then the largest would be the biosphere. And you could label all the other ones. It would actually help you remember things and study a little bit, but that's how I'm going to leave this one. Another foundational thing that we talked about was the chemistry of biology. What's really neat is that chemistry, biology, physics, and earth science all go hand in hand. There's so much overlap between them that we really could add tons of things to this category, but we're just going to focus on what we learned here. So we talked about atoms, and we said that 2 or more are molecules. See, I did a branch of a branch. We talked about pH. And when we talked about pH, we talked about acids, neutral, and bases. What numbers do acids run from? Do you remember? Are they 0 to 6, 7, or 8 to 14? Well, neutral would be 7. Bases are the higher number, so this would be 8 to 14. Acids are 0 to 6. We looked at solutions, and we say that they're made out of solutes plus solvents. A solute would be what dissolves, so like sugar. Solvent would be what's doing the dissolving, like water. The solution would be sugar water. And then lastly in this category, we talked about water and why it's important for life. So I'm going to say water and life. And could branch a whole bunch of things off of this. We talked about cohesion, and adhesion. We talked about heat capacity. We discussed universal solvent. And finally, we looked at water's ice density. Lastly, the main thing that we studied at the end were the 4 molecules of life. And the molecules of life, we have carbs, we have nucleic acids, we have proteins, and we have lipids. What sorts of things do you think we can branch off of here? Hopefully you started thinking about, well, what are they for? What are they made of? Etc. So carbs are for structure, energy. They're made out of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. You have glucose. You have monosaccharides, disaccharides, polysaccharides. I'm actually going to add that in because that's pretty important. I'm kind of running out of room here. So I'm going to say monosaccharides and polysaccharides. I could actually add over here monomer and polymer, because even though it's not the molecule itself, it's still really important, something that we talked about. What I want you to do is finish here. Branch off nucleic acids, what should be added to proteins, what should be added to lipids. And when I collect your notes, I'm going to check that this is done. So make sure that you do finish that out. And here is a nice way to review the unit and get ready for the test. And not every unit from now on will have a test, but this is an excellent way that I'm going to have you review the material and connect it all together and wrap up each unit.